Folks, I've known this young man since I watched him play for the first time in college, and I turned my head even then because I heard, well, look, this kid's a star. Well, it's turned out that he is, and he's now the reigning PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. And on the anniversary of your moment, your big moment at the Honda Classic, Eric, it's great to have you, man. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to chatting.
It's my pleasure. You haven't changed a bit since I once watched you in college. I think you just shoot slightly lower. Even back then, and I'm going to tee it off like this. When you were introduced to me, I watched you play and I'm like, this child's golf swing fell out of heaven. And then you'd go along and look like you were unbeatable. And all of a sudden you just make a mistake or two. And the next thing you'd shot 75. But now you just
Yeah.
don't do that anymore. I mean, it's been an incredible journey. So tell the folks about Eric Cole. Give us the story to where you are briefly.
Yeah, sure. So I turned pro 13 years ago now, something like that, and played a lot of mini tour golf and went to Q school and just couldn't really kind of break through that barrier of playing well when I needed to. So missed at Q school a bunch, and then finally got through in 2016 or 17. Played a little bit of Korn Ferry that year, and then got injured. So then had to take a break from golf, and I taught golf a little bit down here in Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, went back to Q school, got back on Korn Ferry, and then made it through and got to the PGA Tour last year. So it's been a long, bumpy road, but it's been fun, and it's a cool spot to be now.
No kidding. Before we revisit some of that, I just want to ask you this. After the long road, because as far as I'm aware, the oldest PGA Tour rookie, I think, in history. Am I correct in that?
I think Todd Hamilton won Rookie of the Year when he was older than me. So I think I'm the second oldest to win that
Right,
or
right.
something.
Well, it's not like you're some guy bouncing out of college and playing. As you sit where you are and you look back, Eric, golf can be such a grind, but yeah, you
Yeah.
find yourself on the top of the pile. What's the sense of satisfaction knowing that you stuck to it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels good. For me personally, it was nice to have a lot of friends and family kind of in my corner telling me that I was doing the right thing and that I could do it and that I was good enough. So with all those hard times, I'm also putting in a lot of work, but to have those people around me kind of like giving the reassurance that I can still do it and not to stay down too long with them helping me has been huge. And to kind of be on a little bit of the other side of it now and to celebrate it with them is cool too.
Yeah. Okay, let's take you back. You talk about friends and family. For the folks who don't know, Eric's dad, Bobby, was probably one of the sweetest swingers in the history of South African golf. And your mom, Laura Baugh, was a hell of a golfer in her own right. So take us back to when you were a kid, because if I read correctly, you only picked up the game at like age 11. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I was around golf a lot at a young age, just watching my parents and playing with them a little bit. But I kind of started to play golf more seriously and kind of wanted to focus on it probably when I was like, yeah, 11 or 12. So always around it, but kind of like prioritized it around middle school.
Okay, this is for all the parents listening, and I'm a parent of a golfer. It's so hard for us not to push, especially for
Mhm.
those of us that really love the game. I'm interested at your mom and your dad because clearly you must have had a knack for it, but were they kind of hands off and just let you find it or it find you?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm one of seven, so there were a lot of us. So they didn't, like I wasn't. They weren't just focused on me, so I kind of slid under the radar a little bit and could kind of do what I wanted to. And then, for whatever reason, I just was traveling around with my parents and watching them golf, and I thought it was really cool, and it was something that I wanted to kind of focus on and try and do. So, I think combo of those two things led to them not like pushing me too hard or anything like that.
Well, you get into the game, you become childhood friends with Sam Saunders, who was a pretty well-known grandfather,
Hmm.
and Arnold Palmer. Um, and you get to know Arnie some. In fact, you played some golf with him. So
Hmm.
looking back on that, I mean, what a thrill, first off. And was there one or two things that maybe the king shared with you that you're like, yeah, that sort of stuck with me through the years in golf?
Yeah, I mean, it was really special. I mean, I knew it was special at the time, spending time around him, but looking back, I almost wish I would have, taken even more time to ask him questions and stuff like that. But no, it was great to become friends with Sam at a young age, and to spend time around Mr. Palmer and hear his stories about the tour back in the days, and you know, just for me, it wasn't like he was really giving us advice. He was more just telling us stories about his life, and to hear those from him, and watch him hit balls, even though he was older at the time, was still really cool. Watching him regrip clubs was one of my favorite things
Oh yeah.
to do. So get a whole lot of little insight on the back end that a lot of people don't get to see. So that was definitely really special for me.
Is that what lit the fire inside to maybe play the game for a living one day?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was just that, but just being around my parents, and they had a lot of friends. I played a lot of golf with other pros at a young age, just being around Bay Hill. So seeing all these people have success, and I'd watch them on TV afterwards was really cool, and it just seemed like it was a worthwhile pursuit to try and do it myself.
Fantastic. Okay, then you make it through school. You go to Nova Southeastern University, and now for the folks who don't know, you that university for Division 2 schools put out a bunch of really, really good golfers,
Mhm.
the world's tours. Obviously, it's close to home for you. But you were sharing with me that I had no idea about. You were this kid with all sorts of talents, and all of a sudden you got ill. So please do share the story because
Y-
I think it's a
Yeah,
nice
sure.
testament to who you are.
Yeah, thanks. No, I didn't really know what was happening at the time, but I was in college and I started losing a bunch of weight. So kind of came home from college and was at home and didn't know what was wrong. I'd always been really healthy and no health issues. And, through a kind of a long process over a few months and some time in the hospital, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and a disease called Addison's disease, which is another autoimmune disease that affects your adrenal glands. So, it was a little bit of a shock at the time, being, just a healthy, normal person up until that point. But, kind of got it under control. It took a little while to kind of figure out the meds and how that all works. Being a diabetic takes a lot of, I don't know what the word is, preparation, and you have to think about where your blood sugar is all the time. So that was tough to get used to, but figured that all out. And if you just take care of it, it's really not a huge issue. But for me at 21 when I got diagnosed, it was definitely a little bit of a life changer.
I can only imagine. Two things pop into my head from your story there. Number one, naturally, as a young man finding that sort of news out, this anxiety, the emotions must have been rampant, huh?
Yeah, no, it was strange, like I said, because I mean, I was very rarely sick or anything like that at a young age. So like, I didn't know what was going on, and it's definitely a lifestyle change. It's something that you see other athletes are diabetics, and it's something that you can live with. It's not the end of the world. There's a lot worse diagnoses out there, but it was definitely changed my day-to-day life, and it's something. It's cool though, because a lot of times when I'm playing now, I have other people out there that are diabetics that kind of come out just to watch me. So it's kind of cool to share my story and hopefully, connect with some fans along the way.
You're the perfect guy, I think, to advise half of our audience who the on-course nutrition consists of a hot dog and a beer or two. Tell us about your on-course regimen, just to sort of keep those insulin levels balanced.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So for me, yeah, I mean, every diabetic's different the way they manage it, but I wear a sensor, so it monitors my blood sugar while I'm out there or anywhere, but definitely when I'm out on the course. And I typically have like three different snacks. So I'll have like a snack that doesn't raise my blood sugar at all. So if my blood sugar's good, then and I'm hungry, I'll eat one of those, and it'll kind of keep
What
me
is
where I'm
that?
at. Say that again.
What is that? What is that snack?
It's just like there's a lot of different ones out there, but I don't even know the brands of them. But it's pretty much just like a protein bar that doesn't have any sugar in it. So the carbs are low, and there's like sugar alternatives, and most of those typically don't mess with your blood sugar too much.
Mhm.
Um, and then I'll have some other snacks that if my blood sugar is going low, I'll be able to eat those, and those will kind of bump my blood sugar up for me without too much attention to it.
Yeah, you've got the sensor. And if folks are watching you real closely, they can see the little tube that comes out of your
Yeah.
pocket. I told my producer to zoom in on that one day because I don't think people. So if you feel the blood sugar going down, obviously the sensor goes off. I'm guessing you start feeling tired or lightheaded, or what happens?
Yeah, low blood sugar is typically again, everyone kind of gets different symptoms, but for me, I typically get like kind of shaky. It's almost like feeling really nervous, honestly. It kind of mirrors that. So you feel like a little shaky. It's easy to be like a little confused, and typically I might be unique in this, but I could feel like tingling in my lips and tongue and stuff. So just like little symptoms that, as you are a diabetic for a long time, you kind of pick up and know, like, okay, that means something's not right, in case your sensor doesn't pick it up right away.
I'm assuming you're a very thankful young man, given everything that's transpired, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's been a long road, but it's been one that, like you said, I'm very thankful and grateful for everything that's gotten me to this point.
So college then, and you turn pro, and folks, Eric Cole might be the guy who loves golf the most in the world because this is a rare week off for him prior to well, last week when I recorded this, I should say. So it's a rare week off. And yes, you were slated to caddy for a buddy in a tournament when you've played a few weeks leading in here on the West Coast. I mean, you must love this stuff, don't you?
Yeah, no, I do love golf. I mean, the one thing about taking the road that I did to get to the PGA Tour is playing mini tour golf. You kind of have to play a lot. The money is so low that if you want to make any, you have to be playing well and you have to play a lot. So I'm used to it, and I do love playing. I do love to compete. I feel kind of like we just said, like I feel lucky and grateful to be on the PGA Tour and having access to it. So it's pretty tough for me to pass up a playing opportunity if I have one.
So I got to ask this. Look, playing in itself, walking 18 holes and you do it for 72, not counting practice rounds, week in and week out, that is taxing in itself. And then you deal with what you're dealing with health-wise. I mean, I'm interested to know what the stamina, is there a workout regimen that keeps you in shape, or is it just constant playing that keeps you like you are?
Yeah, I think I do a little bit of working out, not nothing crazy, but
Folks,
I
he's super
try and
skinny. He doesn't need to.
well, I try and stay. It's mostly like stretching stuff. I try and just make sure I'm feeling okay and kind of injury prevention stuff. I'm actually going to Pilates for the first time tonight after this interview, so I'm going to try that out. I got a good buddy of mine, Nick Hardy, who is big into Pilates. They go all the time, so I'm going to give that a shot today. But yeah, I just try and stay, as fit as I can, and like I said, it's mostly stretching and just kind of injury prevention.
Okay, so after college, you turn professional. I want to know this because in college, we could all see your talent, but it's not like you were winning everywhere. Was there like a
True.
catalyst moment that said to you, okay, I'm ready for this? Or was this just the next step? And you're like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, for me, it was one, I wanted to do it. Ever since I was in high school and practicing really hard, I felt like it was something I wanted to give a try. And then I also felt like I put a lot of work into it. So I felt like it was something that, with that amount of work and effort, I wanted to, see where golf could take me kind of. So those were kind of my big thoughts in turning pro.
There's so much to be learned from you because you were telling me that on the one mini tour in Florida, the minor league golf tour, you've won 56 times, which is staggering. Okay. But I look at that and I've been in golf for ages and I've been on the happy side of it and the sad side of it. So I'm wanting to know, yes, a talented young man who knows he has it deep down, I think, and then you win, 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 and then you try and advance and then you don't make it. Were there those times when you kind of doubted yourself, or were you just resolute throughout?
No, for sure. Golf is a tough sport. It beats everybody up, but in my case, it beat me up a little more than most people. But yeah, I mean, I think the toughest thing for me was I would play well throughout the year in a lot of these mini tour events and have success, and then I would go to Q school and just hit like a major speed bump there. So that was probably the toughest thing, is not not feeling like my game wasn't good enough, but just my ability to perform when I needed to wasn't there, and that took a while to fix, and also to just get over. Well, they probably go together, but just to get over that the mental block and the feeling of if I am good enough, why am I not where I want to be? So
Because you speak of kind of being a little bit of a figurehead for the folks who suffer from diabetes. I'm sure for golfers that are aspirant and striving and not really achieving, there's always that doubt, and they can look to you now and go, it's possible. So my question is, the Eric that I know, you kind of find your way. Breaking through that barrier, can you pinpoint one thing, or was it just like it happened?
I think there definitely is a little bit of an element of it just happens. If you knock on the door enough, then eventually you're going to break through it. But for me, I kind of had a shift just mentally from thinking about I need to get better and become a better golfer to I need to just be able to perform at a higher level when I needed to. So it was kind of just a change in mindset of instead of hitting a lot of balls and working on my technique, which I still do. I just kind of shifted the way I thought to, I don't need to be better overall. I just need to be better on certain days or certain weeks.
Mhm.
And shifting that mentality for me almost took pressure off myself to the point where it's like, okay, I feel like I am good enough. So now my job is no longer to, and I'm still trying to get better, but my job is no longer to really get better. It's just to perform better. So that's the way I thought about it.
Yeah, that's incredible advice. And it sort of speaks of a freedom, which is the hardest thing when you're playing with a scorecard in your back pocket. It's easier when you're
Yeah.
out there with your buds. But when it means something, then it's so easy to start steering stuff. But you,
Mhm.
you honestly look to me whenever I've called you or watched you, it looks like there's a real, I'm just going to swing it, hit it, go and find it again kind of mentality. Am I crazy or am I?
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I try to do for sure. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I kind of try to feel that way. And I got a lot of advice from older players. My caddies, Reed Cochran, and his dad, Russ Cochran, played on tour for a long time, and had a lot of conversations with him, kind of on this idea of just focusing on performing when I needed to, and it definitely helped to lean on some people with advice about that.
So I'm gonna mine that now. So performing, we all want to, the members listening to this or whatever, the collegian who needs to qualify and he hasn't qualified just yet, or she, and the club member who wants to win the monthly medal. Or
Mhm.
is a lot of it routine? Is a lot of it recovery? Because your chipping and putting is majestic. I'm keen to
Thank
mine.
you. Yeah, no, I think for me, I just think of it as almost like you said, like taking pressure off yourself. So, um, if a 2 handicap and a 4 handicap go play a match, the 4 handicap can beat him a fair amount of time. There's not a huge degree of separation. In professional golf, the line and margins are so thin that for me, instead of, let's say, when I was playing the Korn Ferry Tour, like I was pretty far from whoever the 10th best player in the world is. But when you look at it shots wise, let's say I was 2 shots worse than them or something like that on average. So my idea is that I don't have to be as good as that person because that person's obviously an incredibly great golfer. My job would just be that on a given week or a given day, I just need to close that gap, those 2 shots. So I think of it almost as like I said, like just outperforming on a given day or tournament. And you don't have to be better than the other guy to do that.
I really love that. Turns to this question. Um, because look, the professional game is about money and rankings, and especially
Mhm.
now with PGA Tour, there's signature events and all this stuff. Um, and I remember Paul Azinger talking about it a lot. When you look at your check balance on Tuesday mornings, kind of thing, you still just look to me like you are just a guy playing golf. That you kind of just let the rest take care of itself. Is that the secret?
Yeah, no, I definitely try to do that. Like I said, it's easier said than done. But I think the more you can get out of your own way and kind of just almost a lot of times I try and feel like I'm just there watching me play golf, watching myself play. And, like it's just like I'm spectating. Like obviously when I'm in the shot, I'm trying to hit it as good as I can and as close to the hole as I can or make the putt. But the more hands off and the more natural and the less thinking and influence I have over my game seems to produce better results for me.
Yeah, so you make it, you get your first top 10 in your second go around on the Korn Ferry Tour when you're healthy. It seemed like that kind of unlocked stuff, I guess, and you eventually make it to the tour, and along comes the Honda Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in the mix, and you're in the mix, and then you're really in the mix on Sunday. And I remember watching this on TV because CBS went on the call, and they zoomed in on your face on one hole. And I said to my wife, I'm like, this kid's going to be a superstar. And then I was on the First Cut podcast afterwards, after you finished one shy, and I was like, this boy is a superstar with his game and just everything about him. So I guess I'm getting to the point here, Eric, where you looked like you had been there before, and you're playing against one of the veterans on tour. You didn't blink an eye. In fact, I would argue that in the playoff, or was it regulation, you were a little unlucky with the fairway metal bounce through the back of the green. And
Yeah, that was actually a really good shot. I was proud of that
it
shot.
was a hell of a shot. I mean, I'm seeing a guy here, and there's a crosswind off the left, and there's water on the right, and it's coming down to the crunch there, and you just lace this fairway metal through the back of the green. So here's my question after all of that, the setup. Were you as calm as what you look? Because you certainly look like a duck on water.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I was calm. I was definitely nervous. I wanted to win really badly. It was my first real chance in contention on Sunday, and I just know from my parents and other golfers how hard it is to win on tour. So it was a position I wanted to be in, and I wanted to end up winning. So, but I was nervous. I felt good about my game. I was hitting the ball well, which helps. But I was definitely nervous, and I just thought it was a really cool stage to be in. Like I said, that was my first real time in serious contention on tour, and with the way they have those holes starting at the bear trap, you feel like you're like on a stage, like you're in the NBA or another major sport. Like you literally feel like an arena around you almost, and that was just well, I played a lot of golf and a lot of mini tour golf. You don't really get that type of environment unless you're on the PGA Tour in that setting. So I was nervous, but I wanted to play well so badly, and I was really just excited to be in that spot.
You speak of the theater of it all. I think of those holes, and I just see holes that are riddled with disaster on every side. Every side. So let's talk about that, because it's so easy to get into the sensory overload of it, and you're like, I want to play well, and my goodness, yeah, I'm on 17, and there's a crosswind, and there's water, and there's a bunker, and oh my goodness, and I'm nervous. How do we dial in? How did Eric Cole dial in? I think of 15 even and 17 in these holes that really are honestly making a par as a win in many instances.
Yeah, no, those are really difficult holes, and the back nine on Sunday, last group, and everything going on definitely makes them even more challenging and even more exacting. So I'm not sure what the secret or anything like that is to kind of get you to perform in that scenario. But like I said, I think for me it helps just being excited about it. So while I was really nervous and there's a lot of trouble around and people and cameras and stuff. Like I just thought I felt like I had a good attitude, that I was so excited to be there, and almost like grateful to be in that stage finally. For me, taking such a long way to get there is like, how cool is this that I'm in this spot. It's my home tournament. I got all these friends and family out here rooting for me. So for me, it was that nervous, excited blend that I think if you keep that attitude can help in some of those scenarios.
I contend, and I need you to tell me if I'm crazy, that winning is winning. And you've won plenty of times on the mini tours. Now, granted, because of what the PGA Tour is the highest level of it all. There's a little different thing to winning, but the mechanics of it are the same. Where do you go?
Yeah, I no, I agree. I think it's the golf ball doesn't know whether it's the Sunday of the Honda or Cognizant now, or you're playing with your buddies or it's a mini tour event. The ball doesn't know the difference. So if you are playing a mini tour event or a club championship or whatever it might be, and you need to birdie two of the last three holes and you do it, that's just like one little arrow in your quiver that says like, all right, I can do this. I needed it. I did it. And I think those things, like I said, while the stage is different, if you get enough of those things under your belt, it can definitely help in any scenario you end up in.
Okay. Let's talk technique, because I'm a golf teacher deep down and everyone wants the insights. And I've put your swing on social media and it was gobbled up by all and sundry. You hit the prettiest draw I think I've ever seen. And
Thank you.
And what I love about you, because most professionals, and I've taught a few of them, the drawers of the golf ball will quickly try and go in the opposite direction when they start to see people hitting the ball. But from what I've seen, and you must tell me if I'm wrong, it looks like you've remained true to who Eric Cole is. Is that the
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. I think, naturally I draw the ball and that's just kind of the way I swing. So, I hit a couple fades a week, probably. I kind of stick pretty true to that and try not to make it too complicated. It's very easy with all these great ball strikers that are on tour. They're tall guys. They hit it far. They hit it high. A lot of them hit like these beautiful high fades that I would love to hit. But I think for me, I just do better a little more one-dimensionally and maybe pick and choose being aggressive at different times because of that. But yeah, I mean, I try to stay true to kind of what got me there and what I feel most comfortable with.
I was astounded, folks, the first time, well, no, maybe not, I think it might have been the first time that I talked to you on the range prior to a tournament. And you were so engaging. I mean, I was almost felt like I was in the way and you were about to tee off and you're like, no, let's chat. And so I asked you about what are you working on? I'm mining for stuff because I'm the on-course reporter. And you're like, nothing really, just kind of my start and my rhythm. Is this still the case?
Yeah, I don't work on a whole lot. I have like maybe two or three drills that I do, just kind of on a regular basis, and then just kind of try and like you said, like work on my setup and make sure everything's good there, and then just feel like I'm swinging in a good rhythm and not rushing or hitting it too hard. Again, that's easy for me to do, being a kind of an average hitter, and you have these other great players that are hitting it so far and stuff. So those are kind of my keys, and I try not to go too far away from those.
I'm certainly thinking, because what you say there is so appropriate and there's a lesson to be learned. I remember Kevin Kisner one time saying, he's like, look, there's certain golf courses that I can contend on, there's certain that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain places where you would thrive. I mean, PGA National would be one because it loves that little draw of yours.
Mm-hmm.
When you playing with that guy, let's call him Rory, because I have a feeling you might. There's discipline not to get all wrapped up in it and stay true to your game. So talk to us about how you do that, please.
For sure. Yeah. I think that is a really hard thing for a lot of players, especially um, rookies and younger rookies. While they've played a lot of high level golf in college, it's really easy to come out on the PGA Tour and want to change stuff just because you see, let's just take Rory as an example, like him doing stuff that I can't at the moment. So it's easy to kind of try and chase what other people do,
Yeah.
and what they're capable of doing. So um, for me, it's just it's about being very disciplined and knowing that while I would like to do what some of the other guys do, that's not really my thing. And I have this saying where I think the shots get more important the closer you get to the hole. So I just kind of try and live by that. And, hopefully as I get closer to the hole, that's more where my strengths kind of showcase themselves.
You're tickling my fancy and I'm going to go there. But first off, what you just said there, in many ways, I heard Arnold Palmer just talking to me, because Arnie goes, swing your swing, not some idea
Yeah.
of swing.
Yeah, it's true.
Did he ever say that to you, or you just kind of learned it
I don't know. He probably has at some. He probably did at some point, but Yeah, I mean, I think it's great, great advice. I think, like I said, being a rookie, an older rookie like I was last year, I think I felt like I had a little bit of an advantage to where I've caddied on tour. I've been out on tour a decent amount with other people, and I kind of knew what to expect, and I also knew that the game that gets you to the PGA Tour, if you don't let those stages and those environments affect you, most of the time that's plenty good to have success out there. So that was kind of something that I really focused on last year and will continue to focus on.
Fantastic. Okay, you teed it up. I'm going there now. I say in all of my lessons, no matter the quality of the player or the skill level, I'm like, if you get good at shot number 1, you'll make fewer 6s and 7s. If you get good at shot number 3, you're going to make lots of 3s and 4s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Eric, you got the stage, brother, because when you got a wedge in your hand, the distance control is lovely. And then the closer you get to the putting stroke, I mean, I don't want to use the word bulletproof, but it's bulletproof because the pace never varies. Just
Thank you.
whether it's Thursday afternoon or Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is true for everybody, but it's very true for me that for me to have success on the PGA Tour, my wedge game's got to be good. Chipping and putting has to be very good. So I put a big focus on that, and I try not to, almost similar to my full swing, I try not to make it too complicated. I try and make it very simple, and again, do the same kind of drills I always do, and try not to get too many thoughts in your head when you get around the green or on the green.
Okay, share the tea. I need one of those drills, please, because I know the fans are saying, Mark, ask the question. Share one of the drills.
Like putting drill?
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah. Putting, I typically use like a arc board. And I use that kind of for a few reasons. Obviously, the path of my stroke, I think it also helps with your alignment if you set it up correctly. So you can work on your alignment and the path of your stroke at the same time. And then while I'm using it, I also listen to the noise that the putter makes up against the arc board. So then that kind of, like, I know what my stroke, like the cadence should sound like, and I just kind of try and recreate that on a daily basis. So that way, I'm doing one drill. I'm not doing a lot of time on it. I'm maybe spending 10 minutes a day on it, but I'm kind of getting, 3 benefits from it just by doing one. So
Back to the pitching and chipping. I'm in the process of writing a book, and it's close to publishing. And in the one chapter there, I contend that there's nature and nurture, and certain players that grow up on certain kind of grasses just are able to hit certain shots, and then other folks who grew up on Bermuda, to me, really are good chippers and pitchers because you're used to playing off tight lies.
I agree.
Where the guys of Kikuyu, for argument's sake, they got no idea when they get to the southeast.
Yeah.
I need to know from Eric, because you grew up in South Florida, chipping and pitching off Bermuda. Do you move the ball around? Where's the weights? Talk to me about that, because I've noticed you don't play with much spin around the greens.
Yeah, no, I typically so it's a little less taught in today's game. Like most teachers, short game guys tend to teach players to use the bounce a little more around the greens. And growing up in Florida on grainy, especially like mini tour golf, the courses aren't in great shape, so it's very grainy and not very consistent as far as like the health of the grass. So you get a lot of uneven, grainy, bad lies. So I really like to play the ball back mostly, and just make sure I control the strike. And then for the most part, if you're not short-sighted, that kind of technique can translate to a lot of different shots, and you can play different shots from there. But growing up in Florida on grainy grass, I definitely think for the most part, using the leading edge versus the bounce is a better way to do it.
That being said,
not very trendy in today's teaching, though. Most short game guys are on the bounce.
Okay. There was one dude called Jordan Spieth who's like a magician with a wedge in his hand.
There you go. Yeah.
He does the same thing, and he said so on this very show. It never looks to me like you lean on the wedge, though, when you're around the greens. It's just the ball slightly back, and there's not a lot of shaft lean. There's just enough, yes?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's mostly just for me, it's not about the weight as much as it is just creating a position at address where my hands are ahead of the club. So if you do that, the way I think about it, as long as my hands are ahead of the club and they stay there, then it's pretty easy to, with some practice, to be very consistent with your strike on the back of the ball using that leading edge.
You did reference, because the point you make is like, well, you got to be a bit careful because if you short side yourself, it gets tricky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming there's a setup phase to this and where you hit the approach shots. So I'm guessing there's a managerial aspect when you look at certain hole locations, you're like, no, don't miss this there, kind of thing. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of the way I think about it. For me, most of the time it's when the pin's on the right. Being a drawer, I try to be a little more conservative when the pin gets over there on the right, especially when it's close to the edge. Back pins is another one. So when the pin's in the back, especially on the PGA Tour, 95% of the greens run back to front. So if you're going over greens, it's not a good recipe to, have a good chance to get the ball up and down.
Mm. Back to the putting, because I talked about the pace and you shared with us, which I thought was very clever, how you use the grazing sound on the playing board to kind of help the audio and the understanding of the rhythm of the stroke. When it comes down to that putt, the one you got to make for the Friday afternoon cuts, well, you've got plenty of putts to win, I'm sure, by one, and it's 5, 6, whatever, that sort of range. That range that you should make, but it's just short enough that you're scared of missing it, kind of thing. Help us with the mindset. Where does Eric Cole go over those things?
Yeah, so I have I try and do everything the same, so I try not to change anything, but I'm sure everyone does that. But for me, I kind of just try and, well, you're supposed to make those type of putts, and that's definitely a makeable range. I kind of try and say that, just in my head, like, okay, I've read this putt as well as I can. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to hit the best putt I can hit. And well, I really hope it goes in. The only thing I can control is starting it on the right line with the right speed. And if I do that, then at least, tonight when I'm eating dinner, I can feel good about the effort I made and the stroke that I made. And if it doesn't go in, that's just kind of those things that happen. And I try and kind of almost take a little pressure off myself by just saying, I just want to make a stroke that I could feel good about tonight or the next day.
Yeah. And then when one misses, okay, folks, make an effort to go and watch Eric if you go to a PGA Tour event. I don't think people could see whether you were aggravated or not. Yes, sometimes you flash the smile like you are now, but you have a fantastic way of managing your emotion. Is this like innate, or is this something you've taught yourself?
Yeah, no, I think it's mostly just how I am. I'm a pretty calm person. I don't get too riled up about much. So I think it's mostly who I am. But I think what I would say to other people is I don't think it has to be one way or the other. I think you should be doing however you are. So if you're a more energetic person and get on those highs and lows more easily, then I don't think that's a terrible thing, because it would be so hard and so forced to not be that way. So while that's how I am, I don't think that that's necessarily good for everybody. So I think you should just stay true to whatever your personality is off the course.
Cool. A couple of quick questions, and then I need a lesson from your mom and your dad. First off, what's your favorite course now that you played a season on the tour? You're into your second season. Favorite course on tour?
Good question. Well, I'm a little partial to
After
Bay
all
Hill
the
because
other ones, is that the first good question I've asked?
no, that's a good one.
Okay.
I'm a little partial to Bay Hill because I grew up there, and just playing that tournament's really special for me. But I think TPC Sawgrass is a great course. I thought that was,
Damn, huh?
yeah, I just think it's cool that you don't have to have one style to win there. You have guys that hit it really far and long and high that win there, and then you have guys that hit it, more average and are good chippers and putters. So that's cool. I also liked Riviera. Last week was the first time I played that course, and I thought that was incredible. Tee to Green, I think that's one of the best courses we play all year.
I'm not going to ask the least favorite course. The tournament you would most like to win. Majors aside, you can't tell me the Masters or the Open.
Yeah, I was about to say that's kind of a foregone conclusion. I would say I mean, Bay Hill would probably be the most special to win, just because, my connection there growing up there and, going to high school there. I have a lot of friends that I don't really get to see a lot that kind of come out to the tournament. So that would probably be the place, the most special and place I would want to win the most.
Best shot you've ever hit under pressure?
I'd say probably it's very benign shot, but the best shot I ever hit under pressure was probably the tee shot at the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, 18. It's a very difficult tee shot downhill. There's water all on the right, and I had hit it in the water in the third round and made double. So, and I was trying to get my card. I was pretty close to whether I was going to get it or not. This is in 2022, and I stepped up and hit a great drive. Started right at the edge of the water and drew right into the middle of the fairway, which was kind of exactly what I was trying to do. So that was one of the most nervous shots I've ever had, and also, just like I said, it was just a driver down the middle of the fairway, but it was very rewarding to see that ball kind of take off exactly where I was looking.
What an incredible story. Hey, has there been an embarrassing moment on the course for Eric Cole? Something that's you sort of in the back of your mind?
On tour, I think I've done pretty good not to embarrass
No
myself. Yeah,
kidding. You didn't put a foot wrong the whole year, so we'll let that one slide. Okay, I want to ask
yeah.
you this. You got to play with a lot of great players because you've been in contention a bunch. The player that you find it hard to kind of turn your eyes away from and just keep your eyes in your lane.
I would say the most impressive is probably Ludwig. He's unbelievably good. We played probably 5 times last year. We played at Bay Hill. We played at final round of John Deere. He shot 63. Final round of RSM. He shot 61. So he played very well when I played with him, but also it's incredible to watch him hit the ball. The ball doesn't curve at all. He hits it long, straight, high, and he just does everything well. He's a great putter. So, there's not a lot to pick at with his game right now, and he's going to have a great career on tour.
As you are, and that, folks, was Ludwig Oberg. Okay, I've got an illustrious brother. You have parents, notable parents. Your mom still watches a lot of your golf. I can't recall seeing your dad out there. But if there has been one, because having parents like that, I'm a parent to a young girl and I'm her coach, but I'm also a dad, and dad's like, Dad, really? So I want to know, has there been a lesson from dad and from mom that has settled with Eric sort of and been so helpful throughout your career? Share one from each if there is.
Yeah, sure. I think my mom helps me with a lot of my mom's got a great attitude. She's very positive. So she helps me with a lot of, like off course stuff, like kind of like when golf's beating you up, like we talked about earlier, to kind of stay positive and stay true to how you're thinking and what you're working on. So that's probably not a golf really lesson, but just kind of like a golf attitude about, staying positive when golf beats you up. And then dad, I would say my dad is definitely more technical with the golf swing and stuff, but he was real big on saying don't change much, kind of again like we talked about earlier. So he's like, you worked really hard to kind of swing the way you do now, and if it's good enough to get you to the tour, just don't change anything and just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, mom and dad, if you're listening, Eric has you and he's doing it. I can vouch for this because I've been lucky enough to watch you play. Eric, thank you for joining us. Please share for the folks. Is there a website or social media or something like that can follow you on, please?
Yeah, sure. I don't do a ton of social media, but you can go to my Instagram account, Eric James Cole, and then I think I also have a website, Eric Cole Golf, that just got launched. So I'm not really sure what that's about. I've barely seen it, but yeah, you can find me on those too.
Yeah, when you're a star, you need this sort of stuff, It's part of the territory. Eric, thanks for joining us. Good luck this week. Go and do your thing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Good talking to you.